hot on her face, trapped in the glass. It was a globe. The opening at the base was just large enough to fit over her head. The edges were smooth and rounded, but the whole thing was so heavy that she could feel it beginning to dig into the flesh at the base of her neck. She tried to wedge 2 fingers into the gap, but the globe clung tight to her like a suction cup, and her flesh was already swelling up around the rim. Marie felt a wave of panic. This wasn't a joke. This was a matter of life or death. She was gasping for breath now, panting out little damp clouds that clung to the glass. The more she tried to shake off the globe, the less air there was. The fear was metallic on her tongue. She tried to lick her lips and found that her mouth was completely dry. "Help! Why won't any of you help me?" She heard her own voice cry from far off. A moment later, Marie was back outside the globe. She was just about to breathe a sigh of relief when she found herself back inside again. Inside? Out? She was still trapped. Her eyes were staring out from behind the glass like a frog's, and her cheeks were puffed up like the gills of a fish. It was ludicrous, wretched, pitiful. Cold sweat ran down her clammy forehead and trickled down her neck, pooling along the inner rim of the globe. She had to breathe. She needed air. A loud humming buzzed round and round her head, growing louder all the time. She tried to put her hands over her ears, but could only touch the glass. Suddenly she knew that she would suffocate here. She started to scream. She sat up. Her nightgown was drenched in sweat, and Magnus's arms were around her, his voice in her ear reassuring her. A dream. It had all been just a dream. But all the same, it was a long time before Marie's breath was back to normal and she could take her hands from her neck. She still felt as though she were choking. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. Exhausted, she lay back down, not even sure that she wanted to go back to sleep. Magnus looked at her with worry showing in his face. Marie closed her eyes so that she wouldn't have to talk. What a way to start a birthday! "Marie, I hadn't thought I would see you here today," Alois Sawatsky said, bowing before her. "Allow me to wish you all the very best on this happy day." He helped her out of her coat and hung it on a rickety hook behind the door. "It's very kind of you to remember." She wiped a few raindrops from her forehead. There were damp patches on her sleeve where the rain had soaked through her overcoat, but they didn't seem to bother her. Sawatsky had never known her to visit his bookshop and bring an umbrella along. Apparently, Marie Steinmann thought that carrying an umbrella was more trouble than getting wet. "What a great shame that the weather is so poor on your birthday. Is there anything worse than March rain day after day?" "Unfortunately, that's not the only thing that spoiled my birthday mood," Marie said with a sigh. "I'd better tell you straight out. I'm in a terrible temper today." Sawatsky raised his eyebrows questioningly. She didn't say anything more, though, so he asked, "What about a cup of tea? I've just brewed a fresh pot." "It certainly won't hurt." Without further ado, Marie flopped down into one of the shabby old leather armchairs that the bookseller had set out for his clients. Sawatsky smiled to himself as he noticed that even on her birthday, she was wearing her usual work clothes. Marie Steinmann wore pants and had done so for years. She could put any of those daring young things in the Berlin or Munich art world into the shade, but oddly enough, people hereabouts seemed to care even less about what she wore than where she worked. Or perhaps it was just that nobody was surprised at anything Marie Steinmann did anymore. With a practiced hand, he carried 2 cups of tea through the narrow confines of his shop, never once brushing up against the piles of books that reared up on all sides, as high as he was tall. He put one of the cups down on the low table in front of Marie